All right, yeah! Thank God for fantasy football. I'm Buster Brown, and the show is called Redemption Rehab. Today, we're looking at those must-have players to pick up on the waiver wire. Last week, we talked about players like Juju Smith-Schuster. You should have went and got him. He's a wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs. And we also told you about Tyrone Tracy over there at the New York Giants. If you'd have picked him up, you'd have got yourself 20-plus points. He's a running back taking over for Devin Singletary that's hurt. We've got some really nice guys you're going to like this week, too. Starting with this guy. How about this unknown from San Francisco, running back Isaiah Guerrero? He's only owned in 5% of fantasy football leagues. They play the Kansas City Chiefs this week. But last week, he had 10 carries for 99 yards. He's the handcuff to Christian McCaffrey and Jordan Mason. Both aren't looking at playing this week. I do like this guy, but I can tell you right now, he's a Band-Aid. I would not put a lot of money on him, but he might help you this week and next week before those two guys come back. Anyways, who else do we like? We like this guy. How about Sean Tucker of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? He's only owned in 1% of fantasy football leagues. He had 14 carries for 136 yards, and he had 1 TD. He also caught 3 receptions for 56 yards and another TD on 3 targets. He's the handcuff to Rachaad White and Bucky Irving. So it's a crowded backfield. If you can get him on your team cheap, he might help you later this year. Who else do we like? Well, we like this guy too. How about Dameon Pierce of the Houston Texans? He's only owned in 20% of fantasy football leagues. Last week, he had 8 carries for 76 yards and a touchdown with 1 catch for 1 yard on 1 target. He's the handcuff to Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon's back. But they like to kind of do, more than one running back down there in Houston. Plus, I hear Dameon Pierce might be on the trade block to another NFL team. Hopefully Dallas gives him a call. Who else do we like at running back? How about this guy? Maybe Dalvin Cook over there in Dallas. He's on the practice squad. Or even Clyde Edwards-Helaire for Kansas City. He's coming back from injury reserve. And if you want to keep some guys on your radar, how about these rookies? Kamani Vidal over at the Los Angeles Chargers. He's only owned in 10% of fantasy football leagues. Last week, he had 4 carries for 11 yards, but he caught 2 balls for 40 yards and a touchdown on 2 targets. He's the handcuff to J.K. Dobbins right now because Gus Edwards is on IR. Other rookies we like that we talked about in our NFL Draft Preview show that you can go watch anytime you want. We'll put a link up in the description. Guys like Jalen Wright for the Miami Dolphins. He's only owned in 10% of leagues. He's got a chance to play. He's the handcuff down there to Devin Achane and Raheem Mostert. We also like Trey Benson from the Arizona Cardinals. He's the handcuff to James Conner. He's only owned in 20% of fantasy leagues. Another rookie we really like a lot is Blake Corn for the Los Angeles Rams. He's only owned in 20% of fantasy football leagues, and he's the handcuff to Kyren Williams. And if you get a chance to get any of these rookies, you got to get them on your team now. Who else do we like? Let's check out some of these wild wide receivers we really like. How about starting with Romeo Doubs of the Green Bay Packers? He's only owned in 35% of fantasy football leagues. He's coming off a suspension. A lot of teams may have cut him because they didn't want to deal with it. Last week, he was 3 catches for 49 yards and 2 touchdowns on 4 targets. Who else do we like? How about Demario Douglas? He's coming off an injury for the New England Patriots. He's only owned in 15% of fantasy football leagues. He had 6 catches for 92 yards and a touchdown on 9 targets. Who do we like on our radar this week that you might want to consider for future guys to pick up in case you need them with bye weeks or injuries? How about Noah Brown from the Washington Commanders? He's only owned in 5% of fantasy football leagues. He caught 4 balls for 58 yards on a team-leading 8 targets. Or Rashad Bateman over there with Baltimore. He's only owned in 10% of fantasy football leagues. He had 4 catches again this week for 71 yards on 4 targets. And a guy we talked about on our NFL Draft Preview show, who was our sleeper pick at rookie wide receiver, Xavier Leggett of the Carolina Panthers. He's only owned in 25% of fantasy football leagues. He had 3 catches it for 23 yards and another touchdown on 4 targets. And a guy that may do well the rest of the year is Darius Slayton of the New York Giants. He's only owned in 30% of fantasy football leagues. Last week, he caught 6 passes for 56 yards on 11 targets with the injury to Malik Neighbors. Who knows when Malik Neighbors will be back, but Darius Slayton's showing up. Who else do we like? Let's check out some quarterbacks. Okay, we got a quarterback here that we know's on everybody's waiver wire. Is Drake May, rookie over there in New England. Last week, he was 20 of 33 for 243 yards and 3 touchdowns with 2 interceptions. Ouch. That dropped his quarterback rating pretty low to only 88. But he runs the ball too. 5 carries for 38 yards. Hey, if you need a good quarterback that's a rookie, go pick this guy up. How about Spencer Rattler of the New Orleans Saints that's only owned in 5% of fantasy football leagues? He was 22 of 40 for 243 yards and a touchdown, but he also had 2 interceptions. But he can run the ball also. He had 4 carries for 27 yards and a quarterback rating of 60. Ouch. But he plays the tough defense of Denver. And I'll tell you what, Denver's got a pretty good defense, although they could be missing some key players there in the secondary. But this kid's a rookie, and I'll tell you what, a guy I've been counting on all year and been telling you about week after week is Andy Dalton of the Carolina Panthers. He's only owned in 10% of fantasy football leagues. Last week, he was 26 of 38, 221 yards with 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He doesn't run the ball. He only had a quarterback rating last week of 80, but guess what? He plays the Washington Commanders. They have a poor secondary. I see a high-scoring game, lots of points scored. So if you need a quarterback for a week, go out and get yourself some Andy Dalton. Hey, we got some tight ends we like. Dallas Goedert for the Philadelphia Eagles got hurt. How about this guy that took his place, man? Grant Calcaterra. He's for the Philadelphia Eagles, and like I said, he was 4 catches for 67 yards because, hey, man, Dallas got hurt. He got a hamstring. This guy came in, 4 catches for 67 yards. Get him in your lineup because I'll tell you what, I bet he plays well. Who else do you think you should get? Hey, man, if Tyson Hill somehow managed to make it to your waiver wire, he's got an injury and I don't know what's going to happen with him, but if he's on your waiver wire, get him because I can see him playing well. And I'll tell you what, man, if you need a kicker, this guy from Washington, the Commanders, this Austin Seibert guy, he's kicking a lot of field goals. So go out and get him. And if you need a good defense, I'll tell you right now, man, you need to go out and get yourself some Cincinnati Bengals. They're getting better on defense. They're playing the Cleveland Browns, who are giving up, 5, 6, 7 sacks a game. So don't be surprised if the Cincinnati Bengals are a high-scoring defense this week. We also like the Jacksonville Jaguars against the rookie quarterback over there in New England, and we like the Denver Broncos against the rookie quarterback over there in New Orleans. Those are all good defenses. Well, I tell you what, that's it for the weekly waiver wire report. I'm Buster Brown. The show is called Redemption Rehab. Good luck.